golf links, a golf simulator, a 15-metre pool, a cinema, a jacuzzi, a sunken hot tub. That's what a bankrupt Irish capitalist looks like. This is a man who hopped across to Belfast, discovered his northern roots and says, please take the debtors away from me. For a year I'm going to pretend to be bankrupt, and a year's time I'm going to be back in business. And meanwhile I keep the house. Now I travel around the country quite a bit, and I remember meeting a man called Niall up in Drogheda. Truck driver who was sent to jail for 3 days because he went down to the local recycling unit. He left a few bags around the place because the place was full up, hadn't been emptied and so on. 3 days in jail for that. And you ask, how can this go on? I mean, how can this man keep his mansion? How can Jerry Gannon, another bankrupt capitalist, how can he transfer 27 houses to his spouse, Margaret Gannon, and nothing's done about it? And we're supposed to have justice in this country. I'll tell you how it's done. I don't know if people saw the report again in another rag, the Irish Independent. Sometimes they're putting in good stories. Do you know who your judges are in this country? Very interesting story in the Irish Independent. 1 in 3 judges in Ireland are members of Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil or the Labour Party. If you want to get to be a judge in Ireland, I'll tell you what you do. You do a bit of legal training and make sure you join the Common. Right? Make sure you join the Common. That's how it works. And I'm not talking just about an ordinary member. I'm talking about the election agents, the former councillor. These are the people who sit on judgment on working class people day in and day out in the courts. And what all that shows you is we have a very tight network in Ireland. Very controlling, very tight network. The judges, the political elite, paid donations by the banks, the professional mouthpieces called professors of economics who put across the line all the time. A very, very tight network. Now this network is determined to make us pay for the crisis. And when Wasim talks about Egypt and what they are willing to do, don't anybody think that the Irish ruling class are any more civilised, any more gentle. They will do exactly the same thing to us when they get a chance. And you can see signs of it, how it works. I mean, it's the way he describes what happens in Tahrir Square. Look at Rossport. When there are thousands of people up in Rossport and the movement is going up, they back off. They back off. But when it goes down, they send in the thugs who've learned to twist people's thumbs back the wrong way, special techniques. There's a copper who's got himself a special award on public riot units and so on. They move against you. That's what they do, right? And when you look at the same thing, it's not the same level yet, of course, because we're not frightening them as much as in Egypt. But the way they treat working class people who rebel is a sign of their viciousness. In this month and next month, we will be organising 2 socials for 2 of our members who are shop stewards who have been sacked from their jobs, right? And Breach, I hope will read out the announcement about Dave's social coming up. These are people who stood up for working class rights. Basic things. Like if the boss comes to you and says, you should take a wage cut. I want to see my shop steward, and that shop steward is going to say, don't sign anything, because under the law, under the Payments of Wages Act, you do not have to accept a wage cut. Basic things. That's what a shop steward does. What do? They sack these shop stewards as a warning to people. Lie down, submit, we're going to stamp on you. That's what they do now. When we rebel, they will bring out the goons like they bring out in Egypt. I visited Athens during the summer. It's an amazing city. Unbelievable. I mean, people hear strikes and so on in Athens. You walk around Athens at 10 o'clock on a day and you find the riot police, if you like, hanging around the corners, the batons ready to intimidate people, to give out the message, we are going to rule. That's what we're up against. Right? Let's be frank about it. That's what we are up against. And therefore, in this situation, you have to be organised. You need a revolutionary organisation. This is serious stuff. And when we look at the period we're in, right, I think what people do in this room, and in the rooms of the Socialist Party conference, wherever they're meeting down the country this weekend, and any other left-wing organisations, what we do counts. Very, very important what we do counts. If we can get a busload of people up to Belfast on the 30th with good, broad, southern accents, more Cork better, the more people say, what are you southerners doing up here? Because you haven't got a Belfast accent. the better, because you've got to explain, we are facing the same crap down the south, and we want to encourage your rebellion.